Hi there crafters, it's Louise with you today on behalf of Kitaholic Kits, and I'm sharing a scrapbook layout featuring the November kits. And what I wanted to do today was to actually feature some of the mixed media elements available in this month's kits. So first of all, I'm going to have a little play around with some of the Vicky Bouton pigment mediums. I've chosen some mediums from my stash. So firstly, the Creative FX paste, then I've got acrylic medium, then I've got texture paste, and then I've got impasto. So what I want to do is actually mix these with the pigment powders and see how each of them reacts, and therefore know sort of what I would want to do on each layout. So the first one is the Creative FX, and initially when I first used this paste, I found that it was a little bit thin for my liking, but I do enjoy now mixing it with the powder because that sort of thickened it up and made it a little bit easier to use. The only thing I didn't like about this was that because the Creative FX that I used was silver, it did sort of change the pigment powder in terms of the colour response. So moving on now to the acrylic medium, and acrylic medium is really watery, or this one that I'm using is really watery, but I love the color that this got, and I love the way it actually spread around on the page. And you can see that really bright vibrant green, it has lots of different levels of color, so it's light in the middle and darker towards the edge. Now I'm using the crackle paste, and this has been in my stash for a little while, and I think it may be sort of on the end of its life because it didn't crackle up quite as well as I'd like, but I did like the way it reacted with the color. You can see that color is really quite vibrant and hasn't lost any of its intensity. Finally, impasto is basically just clear texture paste that you can mix with all different mediums, and it doesn't, again, lose its color. So in this case, popping it with the yellow and nice and bright. Now that I have had a little bit of a play around with the mediums, I want to actually create a layout using one of those techniques. So I've picked these two photos, and I'm going to create this layout with that sort of acrylic medium background. And I wanted to feature blue because it's sort of the bright blue of the photos, and I've got blue elements from this month's kit that I'm going to focus on. So to prepare my page, I've stuck down the papers that I've used, and I've also coated it with clear gesso because I wanted the color to sit fairly well on top and not actually soak into the page. So I am simply using my spatula with the acrylic medium and spreading that around in the background. Then with a little bit of leftover, I decide to water it down a little bit, use my fan brush, and add some splatters. Now that I'm adding splatters, I'm kind of developing this layout and going, okay, I really want to add some different levels and different layers of splatter here. So next I'm going to come in with black ink and splatter that around. I'm just trying to think of what brand this ink actually is. It's a Heidi Swap, so it's Heidi Swap ink. Then I'm going to use Distress Oxide ink. This came in a previous kit, and I'm also going to add just a little bit of silver from my stash. So this is a Lindy's Stamp Gang spray ink, so a couple of splatters with that, but it's still just not quite where I want it to be, and I need some white. So I'm going to add just some white splatters with a thicker brush, lots of water to get that splatter effect, and the white, I think, does certainly bring those splatters to life and gives it that little bit extra. So once I let the splatters and the mixed media background dry, you can see I've mounted my photos onto white and trimmed them down. Then I'm just going to go ahead and embellish this layout from some elements from this month's collection. And it's not a particularly floral page, but I feel like florals do go quite well with mixed media backgrounds. I don't know why. And what I actually wanted to do was put some cheesecloth into the background of this particular layout, but I couldn't find my cheesecloth, so I just skipped it. I'm going to add just a small amount of journaling. I've traced around the word happiness with my black pen just to lift it off the page, a couple of the little puffy stickers, and then this layout is complete. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that little preview into some mixed media from this month's kit. If you haven't already, make sure you visited Kitaholics and hit that little subscribe button.